We are once more coming up to the ignominious anniversary of a nuclear plant called Fukushima Daiichi, blowing up the anniversary, 7 years of a nuclear plant that blew up, and we're no closer to a resolution. Never mind a resolution. How about a discussion on how to solve this problem? We have ignored, dismissed, collectively, this incredible event. We're coming up to March 11th, 2018, 7 years. And I'm going to just play a little sequence. I piggyback, I kind of have a mental exercise I go through in order to do my work. I generate emotion, feeling, thought within myself by listening to some people, by reading things. And listen to this fellow. He's called Alan Watts. He gave a talk on, he said, spiritual attainment is the ultimate hoax. I like this title, Spiritual Attainment is the Ultimate Hoax, in the sense of what we understand to be what this spiritual whatever might be. So listen to what he has to say. I hope this comes across.
The reason, wouldn't it be great to be a mystic? Look at it this way. I mean, crazy. To have no fear, no attachments, no hang-ups. To be as free as the air. So that, you could just wander out in the streets and give away all your clothes to the beggars and let go of the whole thing, let it all hang out. Wouldn't it be crazy to have that courage?
I love the way he says it as courage. Yeah, wouldn't it be great to have that courage? All right, so I listened to these people, and of course, they're mystics, Western mystics. Alan Watts was a mystic. He was he was connected to Eastern philosophies. He was incorporating Western. He was well-read. He was in the system. He understood. He thought about stuff. He was really clever. He figured out how to articulate some notions of ourselves that are very difficult to comprehend in the sense of putting them into practice. So wouldn't it be, what a courage it would be to detach ourselves from everything and just sort of float like birds and become like the air. I sometimes piggyback on people like this because I measure myself in my own development, in my own understanding. Oh, I forgot this. Coming up to the anniversary of this ignominious date, March 11th, the dreaded red, the nuclear criminal syndicate has hijacked the color yellow. I love yellow. I love red and as well, black combination, but this is much more immediate in terms of my level of anxiety and fear about something, the black and red. It's always in art history too, black and red, and the ideas of our lower parts, the parts that we call devilish or evil is always represented with black and red quite often. Anyway, my thought on Alan Watts. Yeah, wouldn't it be great to all be swamis and mystics the way he advocated, and yoga and the practices that detach you from this existence in some form or other, and you become in the now, the now, the now, the now. What the hell is the now to people anymore? What the hell does that mean, the now? There is no present, there is no past. He said there are three classes: the aristocracy, the bourgeois, and the plebeians, I guess. And they all have, the aristocracy is the past, the bourgeoisie is the future, and the peasants or the regular folk are the now types. Very good, okay. You can categorize your concept of reality in so many different ways. And here's what I was thinking. Wouldn't it be great? Oh, wouldn't it be great just to be like, just release all this anxiety and levels that we know. He's talking about something that we are all aware of. We all know we're in the shitter. We are in perilous times. We are in perilous times. Wouldn't it be great not to be afraid? Well, I urge everyone to be very afraid right now, because we are in perilous times. We are under threat. Not just you and me. All right, let's just say it was just people. People would be the ones, humanity is bringing upon itself the destruction of this industry, this technology, nuclear fission, splitting the atom, has been unleashed on our planet, and it destroys humanity. The problem is, Alan Watts. The problem is, Alan Watts, with your detachment. Like so many other people that I listen to with their fact-finding on YouTube, all involved in this incredible bludgeoning of the usual suspects and all that kind of stuff. Well, detach yourself. Well, how about the fact that you and I as human beings are going to eliminate ourselves off the planet, but the problem is everything else will go as well. Everything else. It's on our watch. It's like everything else. It's not just you and me. So when a person decides to kill themselves, suicide, they do it to themselves, all right? It's a tragedy. It's terrible. The idea of people having such level of despair to want to end this experience. This is a level of despair that is unparalleled. I mean, to commit an act so tragic and severe. But it's the person themselves. They're not directly hurting anyone else, but we are facing something that is so monumental in the history of our existence, where we literally affect everything else, from microscopic to macro, to the whales, to the creatures, the large creatures. Every single life form is affected by this. So forget about this sophistry, this Alan Watts sophistries, these Krishnamurtis, these Bhagwans, these Swamis, that keep us trapped in a concept of, well, you know, the real courage is to detach yourself. How about the courage? How about the courage, the true courage in a human being is the courage to actually care. You're attached. I feel attached to this thing, to this experience, to this idea, to this existence, life itself. I feel attached. Fuck this asshole. I'm ornery on this. I'm thinking about this, heading into the 7th anniversary of the most incredible event that ever happened on this planet, the nuclear plant with 3 full core meltdowns, fuel pools missing. Huge, huge event, people. This was a huge event. Oh, geez, you know, let's detach ourselves, Alan Watts. Or let's watch some CNN news and the latest, greatest, all that stuff. And the usual suspects, bludgeoning all the usual suspects, which is totally useless. And even some of the YouTubers I listen to, this PK Australian guy, which I was kind of, you know what, he has a quality of what feels like a sort of person that is a fundamental notion of reality is expressed by this guy, and uncovering the hoaxes and the false flags and all the shit he goes into. And then he has the nerve to say nuclear is a hoax. Okay, I discard him. I want nothing. I have no more interest in a person that doesn't recognize the dreaded red that we are facing. We are in perilous times. We can't afford to detach ourselves. I'm sorry. We cannot afford to detach ourselves unless we fix this. We've got to fix this, people. We got to fix this somehow. Now, here's my point. Here is my channel. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying don't follow the charlatans that keep you on the wrong path. The way I've been on the wrong path by finding all the usual suspects and bludgeoning them again. And I would like, okay, on the Alan Watts idea of spirituality, there are three levels of spirituality the way I understand it. One of them is a secular spirituality, which is externalizing thought. You're always externalizing thought. Hey, my spirituality, secular, is externalizing your thought, bludgeoning the usual suspects, all your fabulous ideas, Kant, Nietzsche, you name them. All these secular spiritualists. Then you have religious spirituality, which is represented by all the major, the Catholics, the Anglicans, the Buddhists, the Hindus, the Muslims, the entire gamut, the externalizing belief. And then you have actually a spirituality that's based in consciousness, which is everything, a spirituality of everything, which fundamentally internalizes an aspect of ourselves, and I can only talk for myself. I'm not talking for whales, I'm talking for myself. It internalizes something that reflects the highest part of myself. Consciousness has given me conscience, the rightness of everything, something that feels so right. And when you look out into the expanse of the cosmos, which may or may not be there, I have grave doubts about what we're told by the white coats about what makes up reality in the existence, in that physical existence. Do we have like a universe that was started, a cosmos 14.5 billion years ago? 14.5 billion years ago. Yes. You tell us the history of the cosmos and put a number of 14.5 billion. What the hell does 14.5 billion feel like when we live less than 100 years in our existence? That experience that we are privy to restricts us to a rather narrow time frame, and 14.5 billion, can you conceive of that? So you're going to believe somebody telling you 14.5 billion. Oh yeah, that's the ultimate truth. All these white coats going out giving you the good news. No news is good news, but they give you the good news every day, and we're supposed to believe this stuff, right? Okay, anyway, conscious spirituality internalizes. Now, what is it that I go on my channel, which is different from every other channel? It's hard for me to make videos these days, but I'm going to continue to do it because I feel actually I'm different than most or all of the channels that I've come across, because it's always about you. It's not about me. It's about my inner life, what you see behind me on the wall. Oh, what you see is what I call my broken symmetries. This is a 4-man symmetry. I don't know if you're going to see the little 4 men inside the symmetry. My happy tumbler. This is a happy tumbler. This is just another broken symmetry. And this is enjoy the silence. Anyway, my work represents what I'm thinking about, what I'm talking to you about. I'm trying to represent it physically in some way. Anyway, coming up on the anniversary of this incredible event that has never occurred in the history of humanity on this planet ever, a nuclear plant with 3 full core meltdowns. Now, what is it that I advocate? What is it that makes me want to continue to make YouTubes, which are getting harder to do? What is it that I have to contribute? What can I serve you to chew on? What is it that people are not telling you? What is it that people like Alan Watts even are not telling you? And all the other channels bludgeoning the usual suspects, which you all know. Everyone knows. Everyone knows we're in perilous times. Maybe on the level of an extermination that is going on, orchestrated from way back, and you can go into my videos. I talk about the extermination, where it started and why. And here I'm just going to make another video on March 11th, but this is a preamble to this event coming up. I mean, it's huge. It is huge. And what I want to say, what I want to communicate in a way that actually makes someone that watches me the way I watch other people feel connected, is that there is, believe it or not, not in Alan Watts' terms, but there is a rightness to everything. There is a rightness to everything. This has been reduced to rules and regulations and laws that religions come up with, or the swamis like the Watts types say, detach yourself, give everything away to the beggar or whatever. Wonderful, terrific, wonderful. But what about all of life being threatened by our actions? How can I detach myself from that? How can I separate myself from that? Do you see what I'm saying? There is a rightness to everything that cannot be explained away by some esoteric, by all these swamis. It cannot be explained away the way I can't explain this away, the way I know you can't explain this away, unless we have this inner revolution, this conscious spirituality, that internalizing of the highest part in ourselves, which is to be part of the rightness of everything. And my pieces in the back, what I call broken symmetries, reflect this dysfunction. that there appears to be a rightness in everything around us, in the natural world, what we perceive of the natural world, the beings, the creatures, this incredible mystery that unfolds every day with every birth. And now this has gone through what I call our culture of death. This has been reversed. There is more death than life. It used to be the other way around. There was more life, now it's more death. And why? Because what the Alan Watts types are talking about is separating us from the essential thing, the very essence of our being, and that is to be responsible toward this rightness, this feeling of rightness, that there is something that feels sweet. It's a beautiful, sweet thing that we're a part of, and we're letting ourselves down. We're letting each other down. And this anniversary, 7th anniversary, is coming up, and I'm feeling it more and more. The rightness of things is being ignored and being explained away, and it's being transferred, transposed, externalized to others. We are, each single one of us is responsible. And people that come on and have their little say, and especially the ones, number one, okay, don't deal with the Fukushima issue, but if you come out and say nuclear is a hoax, you are a non-entity for me on this planet. This PK guy, this PK Boston, who is attracting attention. I think he says he got his channel blocked, and then all of it, or is deleted, and then he's back. What's going on with this? And this connecting dots guy, oh, my channel is being, and he's out there. He's out there. He says, oh, they're getting rid of me. They're not getting rid of him. He's continuing his subterfuge and degenerate attacks on people that actually have a value to you and me, like Durnford out there fighting for life. He's like sitting there scratching, you know, on the wall saying, come on. It's like I can hear like the blackboard scratching. Every video he does feels to me like the blackboard, fingernails on the blackboard. That's Durnford. The guy is amazing. Support this guy, for God's sakes. He's fighting for all the life on this planet. And people that make all their pronouncements, and yeah, YouTube is cutting into this. What is that? The censorship levels are increasing because you have all these programs out there, and we all know this is happening. We're being watched. We're being subjugated to an idea of total, entire extermination and death. This is unfortunately the culture. I mean, I have no other way of saying it or explaining it. It is brutal. So anyway, I piggyback sometimes on people I listen to, and I say to myself, does this make sense to me? And it makes no sense whatsoever. You cannot withdraw into your yoga bubble and think of yourself as being part of the right, being like in the right, not the right political, just feeling right. This idea of conscience really saturating every human being on the planet, this rightness, this feeling of rightness. We need to encourage this in each other with our work, with our interactions, with everything. It's how it's going to work. Otherwise, this ship is sinking. Year 7 coming up.